In the opinion of the Chair, the noes have it, and the amendment is not agreed to.
I ask for a recorded vote.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Texas will be postponed. For what purpose does the gentleman from Louisiana rise?
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
Clerk will report the amendment.
Amendment offered by Mr. Scalise of Louisiana. At the end of the bill, before the short title, insert the following section. None of the funds made available by this act may be used to implement the departmental regulation of the Department of Agriculture entitled Policy Statement on Climate Change Adaptation, Departmental Regulation 1070-001, June 3, 2011.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment prevents any taxpayer funds from being used to implement the Department of Agriculture's new rule and regulation titled Policy Statement on Climate Change Adaptation. Mr. Chairman, we've had this debate on cap and trade in the last Congress. In fact, there was a bipartisan coalition of members that voted and ultimately defeated the cap and trade proposal by President Obama brought in the last Congress. And yet here we now have a new regulation that was just issued by the Department of Agriculture less than 2 weeks ago to implement, in essence, a backdoor attempt to put a cap and trade program in place in the Department of Agriculture. And if you look at some of the details laid out in this policy statement, this is a regulation that was just implemented by the Department of Agriculture. It gives new powers to the department to go into areas where right now we as a Congress have said we don't want the administration to be going. In fact, if you look at what agencies like the EPA are doing and trying to implement other forms of cap and trade, global warming, carbon emission type programs, we've been rolling those agencies back. We've been having hearings that have showed how this is not only bad policy, but this will kill jobs in America. And so if you look at some of the provisions in this, the policy establishes a USD-wide directive to integrate climate change adaptation planning into USDA programs, policies, and operations. Mr. Chairman, it further goes on, it actually gives new powers to the agency. It says every single office shall identify for USDA's Office of the General Counsel areas where legal analysis is needed to carry out actions identified under this department regulation. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you just look at what these types of policies and regulations are being used to do at EPA, what it does is it gives the authority for USDA lawyers to go and issue findings that can then be used against our farmers, findings that will cost our farmers jobs, increase the price of food. And don't just look at what this policy does. Look at what's happening in some of the other agencies where they're already trying to carry this out, and Congress has been trying to roll them back. So at a time when we're broke, we're spending 42 cents of every dollar we spend is borrowed money, this new regulation creates and references all of these new offices. The Climate Change Program Office. It says they've got to develop a USDA Climate Change Adaptation Plan. It references the USDA's Global Change Task Force. In fact, if you looked after they released this new regulation, they issued $7.4 million to implement a bunch of new grants that are being used to do things like study carbon credits. Well, again, that was all brought up in cap and trade and rejected by Congress, and yet here they come with a de facto backdoor attempt at another cap and trade type of program. We've got to stop this attack on our job creators. We've got to stop, in this case, the attack that's being proposed on our farmers. They actually are now spending millions of dollars, the USDA is, to study how farmers can go grow crops in 2050 based on what they think the climate will be under these new regulations. Look, our local weatherman can't tell us what the weather's going to be this Saturday within a 50% margin of error, and yet the department's spending millions of dollars to tell us what the climate's going to be in 39 years to determine how our farmers should be growing crops. This is ludicrous. We rejected it here in Congress. We shouldn't be allowing these kind of regulations to be implemented, and hopefully this amendment will get adopted, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Louisiana. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the Chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to. Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Louisiana will be postponed. For what purpose does the gentlelady from Texas rise? Clerk will designate the amendment. Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
As I discuss my amendment, I want to indicate to my friends on the other side of the aisle, for the life of me, I can't understand why you would oppose an amendment that costs no funds and only emphasizes the importance of urban gardening. There lies the ludicrousness of the lack of collaboration and understanding when there are amendments that would help all of us. So I do express my great disappointment that you didn't understand the amendment, and rather than ask what the amendment meant, you voted loudly no. That's unfortunate for the American people. We do that all the time. But I rise today to emphasize the importance of making sure that we implement the judgment that has already previously been discussed that helps the unfortunate farmers that experienced proven discrimination at the Department of Agriculture, and to credit members on both sides of the aisles for recognizing it and recognizing the importance of not infringing upon a judicial decision, a settlement that could help a number of farmers in all categories that were acknowledged by many members of this body. I thank a number of my colleagues who worked on these issues for a number of years. They worked on it with great sincerity, and as well they recognized that it is important for us to continue to produce food, but as well we need to ensure that all farmers, small farmers, and certainly minority farmers have the opportunity to engage in their trade. My amendment would ensure that the agricultural appropriations are effectively and promptly made available as necessary through this process, and as well to work with cooperatives supporting small, socially disadvantaged producers. The amendment would make the allocation of funds to cooperatives supporting the work of minority and socially disadvantaged farmers as provided in Section 3110B(e) of the Consolidated Farm and Rural Development Act a priority. Again, this particular amendment requires no money. It just indicates that we should follow through on the provisions. However, this funding is vital to support the many farmers and their families that work tirelessly to make sure that other hardworking families have food to eat. It would be hard to deny the vital role that American farmers play in our society. It is also important that this significant group of American farmers not be overlooked, not be marginalized, and I would frankly say that we support their continued existence. They have a long history, and I believe it is important to do so. As a senior member of the House Judiciary Committee, I remember the long journey we took in order to ensure that African American, Latino, and Native American farmers would not be shortchanged of grants, loans, and programs. This amendment simply seeks to reinforce that. Finally, I would make the point that I hope that we would have the opportunity to find the necessary collaboration again to settle claims of discrimination from those farmers who had not yet come under the particular recent settlement. The President had requested some $40 million to provide settlements for discrimination claims filed under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. It is unfortunate that those resources apparently were not able to be included. The USDA anticipates that 600 claims will need to be settled under this action. The estimate of funding needed to settle the 600 cases is based on the average settlement cost for claimants under other civil rights class action lawsuits, most notably the already settled Pig for Discrimination lawsuit. This request was only of $20 million. It is not in this bill. This amendment does not address the fact that it is not in this bill. It simply says we are fair when we understand the issue. I hope that we'll have the opportunity to understand the issue. The more farmers we can have producing the good food that has made America great, the breadbasket of America, is the better way to go. So I hope my colleagues will support this amendment that simply reinforces the importance of creating equal access to resources so that we can produce the food necessary for the American people. I showed just a moment ago that of a healthy child and a military family. We need to make sure that all Americans have access to food, and we should extinguish the concept of food insecurity. We can do that by helping the many different farmers and small farmers that rely upon these very important programs to help them produce the food for America. With that, I ask my colleagues to support this amendment, and I yield back my time.
The gentlelady yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Texas. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment is not agreed to. Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Texas will be postponed. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Hawaii rise?
I move to strike the last word.
Gentlewoman is recognized for 5 minutes.
I have an amendment at the desk.
Does the gentlewoman offer an amendment?
I have an amendment at the desk.
Clerk will report the amendment.
Amendment offered by Ms. Hirono of Hawaii. At the end of the bill, before the short title, insert the following section: for preventative measures authorized under the Watershed Protection and Flood Prevention Act, 16 U.S.C. 1001, at the Soil Conservation and Domestic Allotment Act, 16 U.S.C. 590A, including research, engineering operations, methods of cultivation, the growing of vegetation, rehabilitation of existing structures, and changes in use of land, there is hereby appropriated, and the amount otherwise provided by this Act for agricultural programs, buildings and facilities, and rental payments is reduced by $3 million to remain available until expended.
Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak in support of my amendment to restore $3 million in funding for the Watershed and Flood Protection Program. Funding for this program was eliminated in fiscal year 2011, and no funding is provided in this bill. My amendment provides $3 million for this program, just 10% of the $30 million provided in fiscal year 2010. I'm taking funding from the agriculture buildings and facilities and rental payments to offset the cost of my amendment. Under my amendment, the Natural Resources Conservation Service, NRCS, would make the determination on where to direct the funds. The Watershed and Flood Control Program provides for cooperation between the federal government, states, and localities to prevent erosion, floodwater, and sediment damage. This is also vital. It's also a vital program to further the development, utilization, and disposal of water. It also helps to further the conservation and utilization of land in authorized watersheds. Watershed improvements under this program are cost shared between the federal government and local governments. I think that's a good thing. The program is being zeroed out despite the fact that we have an unfunded federal commitment of more than $1 billion for 297 cost-shared projects in 39 states. I repeat, 39 states, American Samoa and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. These projects would help to reduce flood damage in 320 communities, improve agricultural water supply in 80 communities, and improve water quality in 132 streams. Clearly, the national reach of this program is apparent from the numbers I just cited. In fact, I have a list of the states, the 41 states and the Pacific Islands that have been helped by this program, including Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas. The list goes on. States and the local governments have worked together with NRCS, and they put up their own funds to construct flood control and water development projects. I don't think it is fair to leave these local governments holding the bag while the federal government just walks away from these commitments. Even shutting down projects, of course, costs money, and we can't leave them just halfway done on these projects. How can we just walk away from these projects before realizing the economic and environmental benefits they were designed to deliver? I urge my colleagues to support funding for this important program. It affects 40 states plus Pacific Islands. I ask unanimous consent to include a list of unfunded federal commitments to authorize watershed projects in so many of our states. And I yield back the remainder of my time.
Gentlelady yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Hawaii. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it, and the amendment is not agreed to.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for a recorded vote.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Hawaii will be postponed.
Mr. Chairman.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia rise?
I move that the committee do now rise.
The question is on the motion that the committee rise. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The committee rises. Mr. Speaker, the Committee of the Whole House on the State of the Union, having had under consideration H.R. 2112, directs me to report that it has come to no resolution thereon.
Chairman of the Committee of the Whole House, the State of the Union reports that the committee has had under consideration H.R. 2112 and has come to no resolution thereon. What person, gentleman from Georgia, rise?
Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns to meet at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Today.
Without objection.
We had such a good time.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker.
What purpose, gentleman from Georgia, rise?
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Question on the motion to adjourn. All those say aye. All those opposed say no. Opinion of the chair is the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Accordingly, the House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. today.
Today in the House, members continued work on 2012 Agriculture Department spending. Members took a break to attend